In this video, you will learn the history of positive psychology, the field that not only focuses on problems, but also on human flourishing. This is the second part of a series about it. This part is about the history. If you don't know me, I am Luc Thomas. I have a bachelor degree at the Erasmus University of Rotterdam in psychology and a master degree in positive and industrial psychology in the University of Amsterdam. And positive psychology is my favorite branch of psychology, and therefore I am the person to tell you anything about it. Well, the general influences on positive psychology are three-way. They're Eastern thought, like Buddhism and Hinduism, but also the Greek one, the Aristotelian philosophy in particular, and lastly, the modern Western psychology. So let's first get into the Aristotelian one. He introduced the concept of eudaimonia versus hedonic happiness. So eudaimonia happiness is focused on meaningful, at creating a life that is worth living. And hedonia, which you might know as hedonic, is focusing only on pleasure and the maximization of it. This was his first concept. The second concept was virtue ethics. So the focusing on building an ethical, strong, virtuous character. Then the Western psychology we will get into. The founding father of modern Western psychology is William James, and he focused on three things primarily. The inner experience, so diving into your conscious, like also the Eastern traditions do. Mysticism, so how can you explain religious phenomena? The focusing on free will, very important for growing yourself, working on yourself, creating meaning in your life. And the last, practical applications for living a meaningful life. So how to transfer this into a practical way. So not only focusing on problems, but also focusing on creating good. So he was very balanced, you could say. But then something happened. The World War, so the Second World War, and as well the First World War. This created an urgent need to treat psychological problems among soldiers. If, for example, you are a soldier and you get shocked, later called PTSD, then you can't go in the battlefield anymore. So this raises concerns for an army. So the better people have their act together in sense of curing mental illness, the better and more mobilized an army can be on the long term. And this created a dominance not on the William James psychology, but more focusing on psychodynamics, behaviorism, and psychiatry, because they are also more focused on the problems and relieving symptoms of problems. Well, the revival became in the 50s and 60s, so right after the Second World War, the humanistic psychology. And the first one, which you might know of the hierarchy of needs or the pyramid of needs, is Abraham Maslow, and he also introduced the idea of the highest need and on top of the pyramid, self-actualization, so making the best out of your life. And then the second one was Carl Rogers. He had a really interesting approach about therapy, and which is a very humanistic side, so focusing on the person in front of you and not telling them what to do, but creating all this positive, unconditional, positive regard in which you help the person and you strive for them to focus on creating more authenticity in their life, which was very new in this time frame. So this is really all the introduction you really need. This all created the fundamentals about the history about positive psychology, and all these factors made the rise of positive psychology happen, which the next video will be about. Thank you for watching.